37.6 million ounces. Vanished. In just 47 days. The global vaults didn't just leak, they were raided. This wasn't a gradual decline. It was a cliff. It wasn't sold to ETF investors. It wasn't consumed by a sudden jewelry craze. It was removed from the system entirely. This is the largest physical drain since 1980. But here's the scary part. While the vaults are emptying at a pace we haven't seen in 4 decades, the price on your screen is sitting still. That is not a market. That is a glitch. It is a silent bank run on the most essential metal on Earth. We are witnessing the final separation of the paper price from physical reality. The exit doors are jamming. The math is breaking. And if you're waiting for the news to report this, you will be too late. Welcome back to the Macro Edit.
If you look at your screen right now, you see a spot price that looks volatile. You see a chart that looks like business as usual. But if you look inside the plumbing of the financial system, you see a catastrophe in motion. Silver isn't just money anymore. It is the DNA of the modern world. It is in your phone, your electric vehicle, the 5G tower down the street, and the missile guidance systems protecting your border. And we are running out. Right now, spot silver is trading above futures. This is a condition called backwardation. In a healthy market, future prices should be higher than today's prices because of storage costs. When the opposite happens, it is a flashing red siren. It is a market panic signal that says, I don't want a contract for silver next month. I don't trust the delivery. I need the metal in my hand right now. In this 2-part documentary series, I am going to show you exactly why 37.6 million ounces vanished. In Part 1, we are going to look at the physical reality, the geology, the industry, and the history that proves why this time is different. In Part 2, we will expose the financial mechanism, the paper casino, the bank rigging, and the exact exit strategy you need to survive the crash. But first, we have to go back to the scene of the crime. To understand why the vaults are empty today, you have to understand the ghosts of 1980. Let's begin. The skeptics will tell you this is just fear-mongering. They will say, we've heard this before. What about 1980? What about the Hunt brothers? This is the most common counter-argument, and it is also the most dangerous one, because it ignores the fundamental difference between a squeeze and a shortage. Let's look at what actually happened in 1980. Nelson Bunker Hunt and his brother William were Texas oil tycoons. They were arguably the richest men in the world. They didn't trust paper money. They believed the dollar was going to zero due to inflation. So, they decided to hedge. They decided to buy silver. All of it. They bought physical bullion. They flew it to Switzerland in private jets. But then, they got greedy. They started buying futures contracts on the Comex using massive leverage. They effectively cornered the global market. They drove the price from $6 to $49 in a matter of months. It was a spectacle. The world panicked. Housewives were melting down their tea sets. But here is why they failed. The Hunt brothers were speculators. They didn't need the silver to build anything. They just wanted to hold it to get rich. Because they were playing a financial game. The financial authorities could change the rules to beat them. And that is exactly what happened. On January 7th, 1980, the Comex suddenly implemented Silver Rule 7. This rule was a death sentence. It declared that traders could no longer buy new positions. They could only sell to liquidate. Simultaneously, they raised margin requirements so high that the Hunts were forced to come up with millions in cash overnight. The Hunts couldn't pay. They were margin called. They were forced to dump their silver onto the market all at once. The price crashed from $50 to $10. The Hunts lost $1.7 billion and went bankrupt. The establishment won. The casino protected itself. The skeptics look at this story and say, see, you can't beat the house. But they are making a fatal error. 1980 was a speculative raid. 2026 is a structural shortage. You can change margin rules to stop a speculator like Bunker Hunt. You cannot margin call a solar panel factory. You cannot change the rules of physics for a missile manufacturer. Elon Musk does not buy silver to corner the market. He buys it because without it, a Tesla is just a paperweight. Samsung does not buy silver to speculate. They buy it because without it, your smartphone does not work. This demand is not financial, it is industrial, it is existential. And that brings us to the industrial floor. For years, analysts predicted that as technology advanced, we would use less silver. They thought we would thrift it away. They were wrong. The industry hasn't just grown, it has mutated. Signal number 1, the solar mutation. We all know solar is growing. But in 2024, the industry aggressively shifted to a new technology called TOPCon cells. Old solar panels used less silver, but TOPCon cells are different. They are more efficient, but they are gluttons. They require 50 to 80% more silver paste than the old models. This isn't a forecast for 10 years from now. The factories have already retooled. They are draining the market right now. Signal number 2, price inelasticity. This is an economic term that effectively means, I will pay any price. Consider an electric vehicle. An EV uses up to 50 grams of silver. But here is the kicker. That silver is a tiny fraction of the car's total cost. If silver is $28, the silver in that car costs about $40. If silver explodes to $100, the silver in the car costs $160. Do you think Elon Musk is going to shut down a billion-dollar gigafactory because the cost of the car went up by $120? Of course not. He pays the bill. He passes the cost to you. And the assembly line keeps moving. This is the definition of a seller's market. The buyer cannot say no. Signal number 3, the AI power crisis. Everyone is talking about NVIDIA chips. Nobody is talking about the plumbing. Artificial intelligence requires massive data centers. These centers generate incredible heat. When you move data at the speed of light, copper, the old standard, starts to fail. It creates too much resistance. Resistance creates heat. Heat kills chips. To solve this, the industry is quietly upgrading to silver-plated connectors and high-speed interconnects. Silver is the most conductive metal in the universe. It is the only metal that can handle the load of the AI revolution without melting the system. Signal number 4, the missile gap. We are living in a kinetic world. Wars are unfortunately returning to the headlines, and modern war runs on silver. Consider the Tomahawk cruise missile. Missiles don't fly without silver. They use silver-zinc batteries for their guidance systems. Here is the problem. During peacetime, the military recycles. During conflict, that silver is vaporized. It explodes. It is scattered into dust. It is gone forever. Signal number 5, the India effect. It's not just industries buying metal, it is entire nations. India is the world's smartest buyer of precious metals. In 2024, we saw an explosion in Indian silver imports. Why? Because millions of Indian citizens treat silver as their savings account. They smell the currency devaluation coming. They are front-running the Western institutional investors. When India buys, they don't buy paper, they buy bars, and they never sell them back. The industrial floor is rising, the military floor is rising, the energy floor is rising. Signal number 6, the 5th deficit. According to the Silver Institute, 2025 marks the 5th consecutive year where the world consumed more silver than it mined. Since 2021, the cumulative deficit is over 820 million ounces. Let that sink in. We have erased an entire year of global mining production just to keep the lights on. We are burning the furniture to heat the house. That 37.6 million ounces that vanished from the Comex recently? That was just the crumbs at the bottom of the barrel. But what about the supply? Why don't the miners just dig more? This brings us to the cliff. If the price of silver goes up, logic dictates that miners should produce more. That is how Economics 101 works. But silver defies Economics 101. Signal number 7, the byproduct trap. This is the most annoying fact in geology, and it is the reason the supply cannot respond to price. 72% of all silver comes out of the ground by accident. Primary silver mines are rare. Most silver is a byproduct of digging for lead, zinc, and copper. The miner is digging for zinc to sell to a steel mill. He finds some silver in the dirt and he sells it as a bonus. This means that the supply of silver is determined by the demand for zinc. If the global economy slows down and we need less lead for car batteries, the miners dig less. And if they dig less, we get less silver. It doesn't matter if silver hits $200 an ounce. If the miner can't sell the zinc, he isn't turning on the excavator. The supply is inelastic. It is trapped. Signal number 8, the Mexico shock. Mexico has been the world's largest silver producer for centuries. It is the beating heart of the silver market. But that heart is failing. New mining laws have banned open-pit mining in protected areas. This sounds good on paper, but in practice, it has created a bureaucratic nightmare. Permits are frozen. Exploration budgets are being slashed. The major miners are fleeing the country. Investors are pulling capital out of Mexico and Peru right when we need it most. Signal number 9, CapEx starvation. And if you think new mines are coming to save us, look at the budget. Since 2011, the mining industry has spent almost $0 looking for new deposits. Investors hate miners. They have burned capital for a decade, so the miners stopped exploring. You cannot turn a switch and create a mine. It takes roughly 10 years to take a deposit from discovery to first pour. Even if the silver price triples tomorrow, that new supply will not hit the market until 2035. The pipeline is empty. Signal number 10, the recycling myth. And don't believe the bears who say, We will just melt down old iPhones to save the market. Have you ever tried to extract silver from an iPhone? It is microscopic. It is mixed with glues, plastics, and ceramics. It costs more energy and labor to recover that tiny fleck of silver than the metal is actually worth. Most of the silver in electronics ends up in landfills. We have consumed billions of ounces over the last 20 years, and we threw it in the trash. It is gone forever. So do the math with me. On one side, explosive demand. Solar, AI, EVs, missiles, all consuming more. On the other side, dying supply. Falling grades, hostile governments, empty stockpiles. So, if the physical shortage is so obvious, if the vaults are being raided, if the math is so broken, why is the price still $28? Why hasn't it exploded to $100 yet? The answer lies in a building in New York and a vault in London. The answer is the paper casino. For every ounce of physical silver that exists in those dwindling vaults, the banks have sold up to 400 paper claims to investors like you. They have sold you a phantom. They have suppressed the price to hide the shortage. But as we saw in 1980, and as we saw with the 37.6 million ounce drain this month, the physical reality is finally catching up to the paper lie. The squeeze is not coming. The squeeze has started. In part 2 of this series, we are going to expose the mechanism of the crash. I'm going to show you how the LME nickel crisis of 2022 gave us the blueprint for what happens next. I'm going to show you the exit strategy, the exact gold to silver ratio that tells us when to sell. And I'm going to show you how to get your money out of their system before they declare force majeure and settle your life savings in worthless cash. 37.6 million ounces vanished. The countdown is ticking. Make sure you are subscribed for part 2. Because when the paper breaks, there will be no second chances. This is the macro edit. See you in the next one.